Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Be teenager riding around with friends one night. In the woods, long deserted stretches of back roads. Past cemetery. Girl in backseat or none. Look at that dog. Gigantic ass dog back among tombstones. Slow down for better look. Too big for dog. Wolf. Thing stands up. Holy fuck. Is that a bear? No, it is not. Comes charging toward the road on two legs. Fast. Go go go. Floor it. So fast it takes us nearly a quarter mile for it to give up. Last thing I can see is the tail lights reflecting off its eyes. Next day, none of them want to talk about it. That shit taught me how most people deal with the paranormal. They shut it out. They repress it.
Here's something that happened a month ago to me. I'd rather not share this, as I am afraid I might bring it back, but sharing is good for the mind, right? Friend back from tour in Germany, planned a hike hunt up in Vermont right after Halloween. Head up to Burlington, hippie country, as east of there is pretty much wide open wilderness up to the Canadian border. We head out to Mount Mansfield, with hunting and camping supplies. Should be a good week. First day night is uneventful. We camp with no issues. Next time while hiking through the woods, we come across an abandoned settlement in the middle of nowhere. Woods here are abnormally quiet. Even with snow on the ground there's usually some boys. We find some plaques detailing this place's history, so we get somewhat comforted. Decide this is a good place to camp for the night, despite finding no deer through 2 days. That night, shit starts up. Buddy is staring into the woods away from the campfire around 6 p.m. He's real quiet holding his rifle, doesn't speak a word as the campfire crackles. Finally ask what's up. He doesn't answer, just points the barrel off into the tree line. We sit in silence for another hour or so when I finally hear walking in the distance. Sounds human. We hear twigs and branches snapping, but given the terrain it's not clear where it is. Friend finally speaks up, says he saw someone standing in the distance looking at us when we were building the campfire, then saw them hanging around while we ate dinner. He remarks that when he would camp and hike in Germany, the locals would always warn him of the witches that inhabited abandoned towns. Remarks that they said the night felt darker when they were around, even with a campfire. Realize I can't see the stars, nor really that much more despite us having a roaring campfire. Fuck me, a witch. More. We basically stay up for a while longer before agreeing to sleep in shifts. Whatever it is still walking around us like a predator. Morning comes, walking stopped around midnight. We decide to leave this spot and head north towards the ski areas hoping for more deer and less Blair Witch. An hour into the hike, we find an abandoned-looking house in a small clearing. Bones everywhere, looks like coy wolves are using the area as a lair, but no sign of them. We decide to investigate the house. We now realize this was a bad idea. Door is unlocked, we step in. Smells like incense and spices, like an Indian grocery store. First floor is pretty Spartan, some broken furniture, and rotted floorboards. Massive, rusted witch cauldron in the fireplace. Hear noise from the basement. We shoulder our rifles and stand back to back. Friend finds the basement door. It's shut. Could be a coy wolf stuck down there. We decide not to pursue the basement and out of there. We bug out and leave the house behind. Photo I took never came out and the GPS on it had 0.0000, 0.0000, so fuck me. We go north some more, still no deer, and no noise. Decide to turn south, and head back to truck. We have to camp one more night. Shit about to get bad, and we don't even know it. Build a fire, friend makes a makeshift palisade using branches and fallen trees around campsite. Not overkill when we may have stumbled onto a witch's house. Everything is quiet until 7 p.m. No walking this time, instead we can hear birds. A lot of birds. Like an aviary, everywhere. Wishing we brought energy drinks, because no way are we sleeping. We both begin to hear faint whispering now, like in the back of our ears. Ask Buddy if we should just walk the rest of the way. He responds no, she won't let us, points rifle at trees east of fire. I don't see shit. Hear an obvious voice make a fake bird call in the other direction. I am freaked the fuck out, ask Buddy should we fire some rounds off. He says no, if they wanted to harm us they could if we need to be alert, as they could be fucking with us to scare us away. A fucking white wolf appears an hour later, bird noises and whispers still going on it. I want to shoot, but it could be a witch. It sits by the campfire, noises start to die down. WTF. After the silence returns, wolf gets up and walks back into the woods. Neither of us sleep nor speak. In the morning, we book it to the truck and go back to Burlington. No deer. Just witches. Was the wolf part of the witches? I don't know. I haven't talked about this with my buddy. I'm fucking scared it followed me.
I'll start. The main part of this story is not from my perspective, so I'll give some quick background info first. I was roughly 14 at the time and just moved into a new house with mom and stepdad. Pretty normal new house shit for the first few months, but after getting settled in, some weird shit started happening. Nothing really ever happens to me, but family claims to be having strange experiences rather frequently. Almost every night my mom and stepdad would say that randomly between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. someone would open their bedroom door and come into their room and violently kick their bed frame. At one occurrence my older sister claims she was shoved down the stairs, and random other stuff would happen, like shit being moved around or gone missing. From what I know the house is fairly old, having been originally built in the late 1800s, 1890 I think. Now that I have established all that, a Greentext with my stepdad told me a few years after the fact about events that happened one night while only my mom, older sister, and stepdad were home. My stepdad sitting in at the kitchen table drinking beer and browsing on his phone. Older sis sleeping on living room couch next room over. Mom went to bed early saying she wasn't feeling well or something. Roughly 1 a.m. rolls around and mom comes back downstairs and wanders into the kitchen. Stepdad doesn't seem too concerned and notices she looks pale with a blank expression like she felt like throwing up or something. Goes back to looking at phone after mom doesn't say anything. Stepdad was probably drunk at this point. Mom walks around stepdad and goes into the knife drawer and grabs the biggest knife in the house and lunges at my stepdad violently and very quick. Stepdad falls to the floor and somehow avoids being stabbed. Stepdad gets knife away from mom and pins her to the ground while freaking out and yelling for sister. While pinning her body down, apparently mom is violently screaming gibberish and flailing around. Sister wakes up and rushes over. Mom throws up into her own hands and then proceeds to eat her own vomit. Both stepdad and sister pin mom down and decide to rub salt on her. Supposedly this goes on for 20 minutes to a half hour and then mom passes out. Wakes up shortly after with no recollection of what happened and being super confused why she was on the ground covered in vomit and salt.
I have a similar story, hanging out with stoner ex-girlfriend. It's nighttime. She has scissor-style nail clippers, thick ones. Gets a weird look in her eyes. I say, "What are you going to do?" "Stab me." She gouges out a little chunk of skin off my arm with the scissors. Okay, WTF. Years later, she's at Disney World with her mom, babysitting her dogs, sleeping in her bed with them on the floor next to me. Have a dream where I'm floating. Weird echoing sound comes from my mouth. Wake up. I'm flying through the air in her room and slam against the door. Pulled the flat screen on my way. It leaves a big scratch on the wall. Dogs looking at me like what the fuck just happened, which was haunted as fuck.
If there are any Texas brothers in the thread, you may know about the Marfa Lights. For those that don't, they're will-o'-the-wisp-like lights that appear on this one ranch in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Texas. Folks have tried chalking it up to lights on the nearby highway, but there are reports of cowboys and Native Americans seen moving campfires in the area before cars were invented, so that explanation doesn't hold water. Serious research into the cause has been limited to the efforts of crackpots and nutty professors at local community colleges. I think this is because the lights draw in a healthy amount of tourism to the area, since otherwise the only thing to do is hike, browse antique shops, and eat at some pretty good local restaurants. If an explanation was found, then it would likely have an adverse effect on the town's economy. Will type up my personal experiences with the lights in my next post. Me in 2019. Family is going on vacation to Marfa for Christmas to visit a friend of my dad, and because my mom loves old antique shit. Dad is a cop that does work along the border, so he has access to high quality IR thermals. Ask him to bring his thermals with him so we can see what these lights look like in IR. Dad agrees, but we don't actually drive out to see the lights until the last night of our trip. Drive out to the viewing platform they have on the side of the highway. Start getting the thermals ready. Realize that we fucking forgot the batteries. My dad, with nearly 30 years of tactical experience, and a lifetime of Innowoods experience, forgot the fucking batteries to his thermals. My face when end up just watching the lights with the naked eye like the rest of the normie tourists. The lights weren't even that powerful that night, so I ended up spending the rest of the night stargazing. I'm really bummed because that was legitimately the closest brush with the paranormal that I've ever had. Despite having a huge interest in this kind of shit, I've always been the opposite of a weirdness magnet. Also, I've since moved out of the US, so I likely won't be headed back out there for a follow-up investigation anytime soon.
Up here, I had a strange experience just a few days ago that I thought could have been a wisp or something. Be me like a week ago driving home from work. Driving down highway around 9:30 p.m., turn off onto side road on my way home, normal route I always take. See a strange bluish light off the side of the road. Light is really captivating and I pretty much can't resist looking at it while driving, so I kind of stop focusing on the road. Light is a very warm blue and almost looks like a flame, like if someone was holding blue lantern or candle or something. A few seconds later I come back to my senses from being drawn in looking at this thing, and I very nearly crash into a tree in front of a cemetery which is just off the side of that road. Light is gone and I pull over a short distance ahead, crapping my pants cause I almost drove straight into a tree. Haven't told much of my friends yet because it's kind of embarrassing that I almost drove into a tree. I have another one that's related to these, but it's probably a lot less interesting to other people than it is to me. Be me, 21ish, asshole of nowhere in Northern Ireland. Thursday night, better leave the bin out for tomorrow morning. Walk down quarter-mile or so lane with the bin. Not much else to do, look up at the stars. Two of them are doing some weird kind of dance around each other. WTF. Keep watching, they keep looping around each other in smaller and bigger loops and making crazy movements in the sky. Ring my ma who's back up at the house. Go outside and look at the sky quick. Immediately the stars slow down. One shoots off into the distance and disappears towards the direction of the town. Other one starts moving slowly in a straight line 180 degrees the other direction from the first. Still on phone with my ma. She gets outside. Ooh, that's amazing, Anon, it must be a satellite. I follow it back up the lane and me and her watch it disappear into the distance. Still haven't told her what I saw, she still thinks we just watched a satellite go over our house. I don't know if it was aliens or some secret technology, but I know for a fact there's something funky going on up there.
Posted this the other day, but didn't get much attention, so I'll repost it here. Might be connected to astral projection or an out-of-body experience. Go on holiday when I was about 6 or 7. Just me, my sister and my mum. Yes, I'm British. Older brother says he doesn't want to go. Stays at home. Fast forward to middle of the holiday. I'm looking at an ice cream sign. Turn around and see my brother. He approaches me, walks down some steps without moving his legs. That menu is out of date, you have to use the one on the counter. Weird that he has this information, even weirder that he's somehow traveled to another country, but I'm young so it doesn't really click with me. Get into my buggy/pram later. Needed it because of a pulled muscle in my leg or something. And my mum takes me to the lift to our hotel room. Brother is still there but nobody can see him but me. Show him a dead bird on the window ledge. At some point he leaves. Details are fuzzy because it was so many years ago, 2004 at most. A week or two later, we come home. Walk up the stairs to see my mum talking to my brother about a dream he had about being with us at the hotel. He mentions the dead bird. Mum's face literally turns white. We still talk about this sometimes. He never has much to say other than it was weird.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.